The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Darkside of the Pooch. You can hear all that background noise. What the hell you got going over there at the Rossburg General Hospital, dude? Can you
I'll tell you. Do you want to see, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know if we appreciate this. I don't know if you'll be able to. You see that middle screen?
Louise, I mean,
see the command center there?
The front desk there, yeah, I see that. This is high-tech stuff here at the Rossburg General. I'm glad you showed that because you basically got a camera on every room in the joint. You could see it looked like someone was about ready to walk a little Poochie, and then, of course, you got people in the front. Then how many rooms do you have to look after animals? 3 or 4 rooms?
We have 3 exam rooms, and then we have a treatment room where we do procedures and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have our kennel, but mainly I've got cameras in areas where I just kind of need to know if pets are okay and if clients are okay.
Yeah.
I don't have them in exam rooms because I generally know what's going on in there. Mm-hmm. I don't have them in like common rooms. You know, I don't have one in the break room, or anything like that. But it's just, it makes it very efficient. Like if I can look up at the screen and look into the treatment room and see that the appointment that the nurses are working on for me is almost ready for me to ready for my part, then it helps make what I do more efficient. If I'm in here on the phone, or if I'm looking over blood work or returning emails, or
now, are most veterinarians, you run your veterinarian office, Rossburg Animal Hospital. By the way, Darkside of the Pooch brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics down there, Citation Lane in Homewood, and also Ed's Pet World. They've been in business for 50 years, do fantastic work, exotic pets. And if you need any comics, 60s, 70s, 80s, things still in the box, go to Sasquatch. That toy store, by the way, is killing it. They bring you Darkside of the Pooch. He's Dr. Rab Stewart, Rossburg Animal Hospital. Sorry, we didn't give you pleasantries when we began the show because we've been doing this show for a long period of time. Do you run your place kind of like a real doctor's office? Because when I go to a doctor's office, I don't normally have to wait, which is nice. You do have a small little waiting room there, but I never had to wait more than 2 or 3 minutes. And then I go in and a nurse comes in and she says, "What's going on today? How are things?" And then you walk in later like, ta-da, here I am, which I think a lot of doctors do on purpose. I think they do that on purpose because they get to make the grand entrance into the room. Mm-hmm. And then you come in and go, "The good guy's here. I'm here to save the day. What's going on?" Is that how most veterinarian offices carry their business on?
I think for the most part, I think that it as best I can say, it just kind of helps give people things to do, helps define the roles. Everyone wants to feel like they have a job,
sure.
And like everyone from the front all the way to the back. And the jobs are important because, believe it or not, you can ask a person the same question multiple times and you will get different answers. So sometimes the nurse will go in and get the history, and then I'll go in and ask a very similar question and I'll get a different answer. So the truth is somewhere in between, and the history is very important.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe they feel more comfortable with one person versus the other, or maybe they just forgot. And in the time between one person, them asking them the question, and the other person asking them the question, they remembered a little nuance, or they remembered it differently, or maybe the spouse was in there. And this time, instead of like them being zoned out, they say, "Oh, no, wait a minute. Like, that's not how it happened," or "That's not what's going on."
And you would prefer everyone just keep their mouth shut, and you walk in there and look at the animal and say, "Tell me what's going on, big guy," and you'll usually find out, right? Isn't that true?
Sometimes.
Because normally, because when you're human, you can tell people how you feel. Animals can't do that, but normally you can tell what's wrong with an animal just by looking at it, associating its pains and this, that, and the other with everything else, right?
Sometimes owners can lead you down the wrong path.
Yes.
Inadvertently, they don't mean to. Mm-hmm. So the most common example we have is owners, we may have mentioned this before, but owners have a hard time sometimes determining what is coughing and what is vomiting, believe it or not.
Really?
It's a very hard thing for some owners to understand. So
what is the difference? I mean, I just speaking straightforward, vomiting, if something's coming up, coughing means there's not.
Yeah, but see, some dogs will cough so hard that they'll produce a pretty thick white phlegm.
And they think that's vomit.
And they think it's vomit.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, there's certain little questions that we can ask them and kind of determine which one is which. But that's what I'm saying is like, the phone will ring and the person on the other end will say, my dog is throwing up. He's hacking stuff up. He's throwing up. Well, if the owner ever uses the word hacking, it's a cough every time. Yeah. Even if they say it's vomiting and throwing up, if they use the word hack, it's a cough.
There you go.
But they don't think that.
Yeah. Has there ever been anything on the video screen that you just showed me? Has there ever been anything on that video screen that surprised you?
Oh, every day.
Outside you and the wife hanging out in one of the rooms after hours.
Oh, there's been nothing like that.
No.
But you just.
Well, has there any been at that time where you're like, what the hell? And then when you had to run in there, has there been one of those?
I mean, you'll see like a dog running loose and you're like, oh, like, who's taking care of that dog? Well, it turns out that the person's in the other room and like the dog just kind of like slips through their hand. But like, as far as like really anything crazy going on, sometimes you'll look up. And my favorite thing is when we look in the play yard and the dogs are just going crazy, running around playing. That's really fun. Dogs, it's always funny when dog has like projectile diarrhea across the room in the treatment room and it hits somebody. That's kind of funny. Yeah. So you look up and see that, you kind of laugh a little bit.
Have you ever had, it's funny because I know that we have a lot of dog parks in this city. We have the one downtown. There's one on Highway 280. And of course, normally when you go to a dog park, they have to meet your pet first. They have to make sure you have all the shots and everything else first. And then they kind of put the dogs together to see how they get along. And I don't know if they have windows of time. Okay, this big dog plays with this big dog, or this big dog can't get along with these dogs, whatever. But normally you just don't put them all together. So when you get all these different animals and they have to be in the same room or the same play area together, how do you know they're all going to get along?
Because we've just tried them out. We've had a lot of these dogs that have come and played at our facility for 7 years now. And so anytime we get a new one, we just test them out with the groups that we have. Mm-hmm. And if they get along with some and don't get along with others, then we're sure that we plan to put them with the dogs that they get along with. And sometimes they don't get along with anybody at all. And we have to tell, the owners that, hey, we're happy to let them hang out with us during the day if you want them to have a little bit of stimulation while you're at work. But as far as getting out and playing a bunch, it's just not in the cards for this dog. It may not like being around other dogs. Some dogs are not dogs. They're people dogs.
Dog dogs. I get you. 208-0301, 208-0301 is the phone number. Ross Bridge Animal Hospital. Check it out right there. Ross Bridge at Ross Bridge Vet. Of course, wherever you find them on social media and of course online as well. He's Dr. Rab Stewart. Just stop by their wonderful office. And of course, it's hard to believe we're about 100 days away from Christmas. So we got holidays coming up and you guys are always slamming whenever people want to put board up. So if you're thinking to yourself, a lot of people are going to be boarding up the same time you are, you're probably right. Call them, get it done as soon as possible. Anything else remotely strange or weird going on? We kind of double dipped a couple of weeks ago, so we didn't do a show last week, which was kind of nice because I was slammed, I was booked, and I know you were too. But anything happened over the last couple of weeks that you need to share with me?
Well, sometimes we get kind of not super strange, but kind of uncommon cases, and we've kind of finished one up. So we may have talked about it before, but I don't think we've done it lately. If we have, it's a disease called Addison's disease. That's a disease where
my dog was actually checked for Addison's disease.
Yes.
Frisco dog was, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And so Addison's disease is a failure of the body to produce a normal amount of steroid. And in talking with this client whose dog we have now diagnosed with Addison's disease, I did not realize people also get this. And she let me in on the fact that JFK had Addison's disease. Now, I have not fact checked her on this, but I've just rolled with it that JFK had Addison's disease. So the adrenal gland is responsible, and it doesn't produce the proper amount of steroid. Mm-hmm. There's two different types. There's a type where they are just deficient in one steroid type, a glucocorticoid. Yeah. And then there's another one where they're deficient in both mineralocorticoid and glucocorticoids. And that's very, high-tech doctor stuff, mumbo jumbo, but basically it just has to do with the level that the adrenal gland is affected. And the symptoms are very kind of vague and nondescript, but it can be fatal depending on how severe they have it. They can, their blood sugar can get super low. They can have seizures. They can die from this if it goes undiagnosed and untreated. And then blood work is really across, like, all over the board. You can see just about any blood work abnormality under the sun. So it can be a difficult disease to diagnose. Once you diagnose it, it responds to treatment very well.
Yeah.
So it's, sometimes we have diseases that are easy to diagnose, very difficult to treat. Believe it or not, diabetes in dogs is one of those things. Very easy to diagnose, very hard to get under control. Addison's is the exact opposite. It can be very difficult to diagnose, but once you diagnose it, it's pretty straightforward in the treatment, and they do well.
John F. Kennedy had Addison's disease, an autoimmune disorder that affects the adrenal glands. He had the symptoms of Addison's disease, disorder of the adrenal glands. Thomas Addison, who described the disease, reported that sufferers exhibited lethargy, loss of appetite, pain in the stomach, and discolored skin. Says Kennedy had shown these signs. So he did have Addison's disease.
Yeah, every time I see Kennedy, he's very gray. So I guess he lost his color.
You know what? I always thought it was the film, but yeah,
really?
I'm just,
yeah, it's just, and his clothes, like everything was,
yeah, you're right.
Everything was black and white. I guess it affects their wardrobe too. It's strange.
I was not aware that, and of course, the next question would be: what's they call that when you can have one disease from an animal to a human?
No, yeah. It's not something that is infectious. It's not an infectious process. It's like what you just read. It's basically an autoimmune disease. The body's attacking the adrenal gland.
Yeah, but that's pretty weird, though, that there's a disease for pets that there's a lot of things our animals can get. They can get colds, They can get the flu, they can get things like that. But you don't think that they get the same things we have. Well,
another one we just mentioned, diabetes.
Yeah.
That's another great example right there. So that's not something that's infectious. It's not communicative.
Yeah.
It's just, a part of the animal kingdom, which we are a part of.
What do they call that? Zoological?
Zoonotic. Very
zoonotic.
Good. Zoonotic. Some people pronounce it zoonotic, but the really smart people pronounce it zoonotic. But for dummies like me, it's zoonotic.
There you go. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. By the way, thanks to the thousands of folks who come into our little store and check out our podcast. This is a show that I love doing. I've known Dr. Rab for years, and we're buddies, and so it makes the show a lot of fun to do. We've got a bunch of new shows, including 3 new shows we started last week. That are just doing really, really well. And so we've got a lot of brand new. So if you're new to the show, welcome to Darkside the Pooch. You can hear it at least 5 days a week here on the Tony Curry Radio Network, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're available in every major industry. Marcy in Birmingham wants to know, what's the difference between dogs killing things and cat killing things? She said when cats kill things, they eat them. When dogs kill things, they seem to just do it for sport. What's up?
I mean,
is that true? Do cats do? I've seen cats eat birds. Cats eat mice, but maybe it's because. But I mean, do cats normally eat what they kill, or they play with it first?
I would say that they both kill to eat, but they also both kill for sport to play with. Cats will play with something until they just inadvertently kill it.
Yeah.
And in a lot of situations, I think that's the case. And I don't contrary to what a lot of people think, I think that I feel like dogs are a little more aggressive, and I think they go for the kill a lot more often than cats do. I really think that cats are being curious and exploring things and playing with things. Obviously, there are times where the cat is trying to kill something. Okay. Yeah. And maybe it starts out playing with something and then it wants to kill it. But I feel like dogs are by design more aggressive than cats, especially unprovoked.
Yeah. I guess so. My dog went after a cat yesterday that was in our neighbor's yard and made a beeline for the cat, and the cat wasn't moving. And it put its back up, and my dog was like, whoa, and backed off and ran the other way. And I was like, and I knew if that cat ran, my dog was going to run it down because he's run down every other cat. Now, when my dog, and I'm sure my dog's got a cat or two, whenever my dog has gotten a guinea pig, a gerbil, we had one, we could not find our gerbil one night. We could not find it in the house. And I was like, we'll find it tonight. Sure enough, at 2:00 in the morning, I hear this ruckus in the other room. And I go out there and there it is, dead in the middle of the floor because my dog got a hold of it. It just finally decided to come out from under the couch or whatever. But
it got hungry.
Yeah. Well, but the dog didn't do anything. It just killed it and left it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The hamster got hungry and started looking for food or gerbil.
But if my dog is in the middle of the woods and runs into like a deer bone or something, more than likely he'll start chewing on it. So what would be the difference between him chewing on a deer bone and chewing on the bone of my guinea pig or my gerbil? Maybe because it's got fur on it or something. They just like,
yeah, or it's moving around.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird. Tom in Birmingham said that he just saw a sign on Highway 280 for Pickle-La-Pooza. Wants to know, first of all, if Fish has ever played Lollapalooza, and second of all, do you play pickleball?
Oh, okay. All right. I've played pickleball a couple times with my son when we go to like a father-son weekend at this camp that I used to go to when I was a kid. So we play pickleball there. It's pretty fun. Yeah. I'm just next time we do it, I'm sure I'm going to tear a hamstring or something.
No doubt.
Fish has never played Lollapalooza that I know of. But I will tell you a little fish nugget. I think it was would have been in 92, 93, or 94. But I think that 94 might have been a little bit too late. I think 92 or 93, they played the Fuji Rock Fest in Japan.
Wow.
And so those are pretty noteworthy shows that you can look up. Nirvana was also there.
Wow.
And so that's why I think 94 might be a little too late because I feel like maybe Cobain died in 93, but I could be wrong. And they played opposite Nirvana. So it was either opposite or right after. So Trey's got a really good story about being at Fuji Rock. I think Fish has played Bonnaroo once. And Trey, his band has played Bonnaroo several times, and Trey's played a few other festivals with his kind of side band Tab. But no, never Lollapalooza. I have been to Lollapalooza, which is awesome.
There was something this past week called Bourbon and Beyond. Did you hear about that? That was up in Louisville, Kentucky.
That's in Louisville, and
Sting was there.
Yeah, it always has a really good lineup.
It was huge. I mean, and the thing is growing up, you kids are so spoiled because growing up, we had Woodstock.
Altamont. Yeah, you had Altamont, right?
Yeah, Altamont. Yeah. We had city stages, which I still can't believe is gone because it seemed like we were ahead of the times there. Right. But we didn't have these 2 and 3 day things. And now there's got to be something going on almost every weekend of the year if you're willing to travel, whether it be Red Rocks or Bonnaroo I mentioned last time I went camping, my kid just put his finger down and he put it on Manchester, Tennessee. And I was like, Manchester, Tennessee. We went to Manchester and that's where Lollapalooza was playing. I was like, what in the hell is Lollapalooza playing in Manchester, Tennessee?
Yeah, Bonnaroo's there every year.
Or maybe it was Bonnaroo. Yeah, maybe.
So, Bonnaroo is great. When Bonnaroo started, it was a very like jam friendly kind of thing. Here, look, check this out. I can't believe we got on the subject, but here you go.
You can't believe it, really?
First Bonnaroo.
Wow, look at that. That is awesome.
Can you see the price on the first?
$100. Yeah, for the wow, that was $22. That was 22 years ago. Wow, that's a lot.
$100 to see that
was the whole weekend, right?
It was the whole weekend. $100. I can't go see Fish for $100 for one night now. I can't go see one band one night for $100.
Yeah, but that was 22 years ago. That was expensive back then.
Yeah, I realized.
I remember. Was it not? When did the Hell Freezes Over? Was that 1998?
That was late 90s.
And they came to Birmingham. Was the first $100 show that we'd ever had in Birmingham. And everyone thought there's no way anyone's going to buy that ticket for the Eagles. And it was well worth every dime. But I remember paying $98 to see the Eagles. I thought, this is crazy. It was kind of like when Nick Saban got his $4 million contract. And everyone was like, oh, college football's gone to hell. We're $4 million a year for a head coach. We had shows about the state of the world we live in because we were going to be paying our head coach now $4 million a year. And they were sick and hungry people in Ethiopia. Yet Nick Saban was making $4 million. And I was like, and golly, 5-10 years later, we're paying him $10-15 million a piece.
Yep. I think it's just, that's what it's always going to be, man. Everything's going to cost more, but I was, Yeah, somebody asked me about a similar question not long ago, and I got that ticket stub out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible!"
Man, I wish I had saved all my ticket stubs. And just you and I came up with these great ideas. There should be a business where they do official ticket stubs.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of places that don't do ticket stubs, like football games. Now you don't have ticket stubs, so they ought to go. They ought to go in cahoots with people like Super Bowls and stuff like that. And you should be able to create the official Super Bowl ticket. That way you have the thing you can hold on to.
Now look at this. Look at this. So this is what Fish does now, because they don't, there are no tickets, like you mentioned. Yep. And if you, a few years back, like before COVID, if you got the Fish lottery ticket, meaning you put in to get the ticket from the band. And if they, drew you out, then you got a special ticket. It was a paper ticket, but after COVID, that all went away. But so now what they do is for every show, they have these ticket magnets.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I had a bunch of them in my file cabinet here. So when I go to shows, they've monetized it now. So I'll grab a ticket magnet for the show.
Oh, nice. That's an excellent idea.
Great idea by them.
Pretty doggone smart. All right. Anything else going on there at the Big Biz, man?
No, we're just blessed to be here and take care of everybody. So come on down and be one of the people that blesses us.
There you go. Tell people how they can find you.
You can call us at 208-0301. You can email us, rossbridgeanimalhospital@gmail.com, or you can message us on the Facebook.
And the show is brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics. Big time place. They opened up I can't believe it's been almost a year. They opened up in October last year. Isn't that hard to believe?
Yeah.
But Seth and his guys have done a fantastic job. Comic books with 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They got watches. They got Star Wars stuff, whatever you want to say. Legos, it's still in the boxes. Check that out. And of course, also Ed's Pet World, which is now open Wednesday through Sunday. And they're doing wonderful works too. They got exotic pets of every nature and kind. So check out Ed's Pet World. They do wonderful work. They've been open for 50 years. All right, my buddy, I'm going to let you fly. Have yourself a wonderful week. And thanks again for everything. Look forward to seeing you next week.
See you guys.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.